Hey guys, Jay here. So today we're going to be talking about an audiophile tweak or cleaning tool that I didn't think I ever needed, but I was very wrong, and now that I've tried it, I just can't go back. I can't live without this thing. This thing is just absolutely amazing, highly underrated in my opinion. But let's talk about how we got here. So I actually own a turntable called the Harmony Turntable, and that's from Pure Fidelity, a very gorgeous looking turntable that I, took a lot of time and effort to go through different turntables and find the right fit for me, because I don't want to change turntables all the time. It's something I'm going to be using very often, all the time, for a very long time. So a few videos back, I did a video on my analog reference setup, including that turntable along with my phono stage and all those sort of thing. So I'll link that video in the description. But in that video, I was quite embarrassed because there were hair and grease, not grease, but dirt. It wasn't clean when I shot those B-rolls. Now, that was a turnoff for me, and I imagine that a lot of viewers were turned off by that as well. Now, at the time, I waved it off as me being careless and just learn from my mistake and move on. But when I went back to do actually the review for the turntable a few months down the road on another video, I cleaned it so thoroughly with the Record Doctor cleaner that I have. And every single time I went to take the B-roll and then put it on a big screen on my desktop, I realized that there were hair and little particles still there. And so that got me thinking, what is going on here? Am I not cleaning it properly? Is my cleaning tools dirty? So I tried a bunch of things and cleaned it thoroughly over and over again just to get that right shot, because I don't want to have dirty records on my videos, right? Especially when I'm talking about high-end turntables. And so because of that and me trying to figure out what's going on, the timeline for the turntable review was getting pushed further and further. And that's when Pure Fidelity reached out to me and said, hey, if you're facing this problem, we have a perfect solution. We use something called the Gritter. And in fact, we can get you hooked up with the Gritter if you want to try it out. And so when I reached out to the Gritter, they were very, very enthusiastic about this and collaboration being featured on the Pure Fidelity video. And honestly, I thought it deserved a video of its own. So here we are. Now, again, full disclosure, this unit was sent to me free of charge for me to use. So obviously, this is a record cleaner. This is a, ultrasonic record cleaner. So much like jewelry, right? When you clean jewelry, you use ultrasonic cleaners. You dip it in something like this and then you bring it out and it's all shiny and nice, right? It gets a lot of the grease and the dirt that built up over the years, it cleans it up. But the thing is, this is not like those machines in that it actually has a different frequency profile, targeting much higher frequencies so that it doesn't damage your records. You see those, jewelry cleaning ultrasonic machines can often damage your records. This is more dedicated to record cleaning, and it even has a slot for your record cleaning needs and accommodates virtually every size of records that you may have. Now, honestly, this isn't my first time with ultrasonic cleaners. When I used to work at the high-end retail store that I used to work at, we used to have a very expensive, much more expensive than this unit, a professional grade ultrasonic cleaner that I would use to clean client records, right? So clients would bring in a big pile of records and I'll clean it for them and return it to them all cleaned up with the ultrasonic cleaners. And we used to charge for that, right? Because obviously there's labor involved and the machine is very, very expensive, but also you needed to know how to operate it. Now, it was pretty intuitive, but it did take some time to learn it. Now, with this unit right here, I find that it actually cleans the records even better than the professional machine that I used back then. And on top of that, it is so very intuitive to use that virtually anyone can learn to use it very, very easily. And so how essentially it works is that you pop in your record and then you turn it on for your cycles, and then it will just create these little bubbles that will, move around like particles, right? And bouncing off the records to clean all those little grooves inside the record. I personally like to think of the ultrasonic cleaners as the most thorough, but the most gentle at the same time. And most importantly, after I started using this machine, seriously, the improvement is unreal. You don't see any dirt, any grime, any hair whatsoever once you start using this thing. It just is so thorough in how it cleans, and it is an absolute breeze. And in fact, there's no harsh chemicals. There's a cartridge on the back here that you can easily pop out like this, right? And there's water in this, but the water you want to use here is distilled water, and you can get that for very cheap at Walmart or online. And they do provide their own kind of little solution that you can add to the distilled water, but I personally didn't use it because it made like these little white things go onto the record, and I'm sure it's actually cleaning it better in some ways, but it just doesn't work as I wanted to. And I found distilled water to be gentle, but also just cleans the record absolutely without a problem, so I don't really need a extra thing on top of it to clean the records. So I just prefer to use distilled water. You can add a little bit of extra solutions that they provide or from a third party if you want to clean it even more thoroughly for those, really dirty records. So to turn it on, simply you just there's a switch on the back and, a power cord that goes on it. And then as you can see, it just turns on, it takes a few minutes, and it's gonna be ready to go in a minute. Yeah. So it takes a bit of time to get the water drained into the actual part down here. And it's ready. Now, as you may have seen, it is going to be pretty loud, and it's actually even louder when it actually does the whole record cleaning thing. But the thing is that I actually use this in a different room because of that exact reason. It's the same thing with vacuum record cleaners, unless you're cleaning it by hand using some kind of solution, which is also a valid way, but like I mentioned, that didn't really work for me as do the vacuum record cleaners that I used to have. So this one does a much better job, and it is going to be loud just like the other ones. But other than that, I found the intuitiveness of this machine to be absolutely excellent. So it's very easy to use. Like I said, you load the distilled water on the back here, and then there's a filter on the side that you can take out and switch over every single time the machine tells you to do so, because it actually will show you that you need to change the filter when it's time for that, right? And then there's different settings here. You can deep dive into the settings, but there's mainly setting here, I believe. Yeah, so you can change the different time here, different kind of cycles, right? So you can do more thorough cleaning or less thorough cleaning, but you can just let it run, and you have the drying cycle. So you can choose to have the drying cycle as well. So after it does the ultrasonic cleaning, it will also dry. Now, with machines like this in the past as well as currently, heat is a problem because when it's cleaning, it's going to create these heat, and that's no good for the record, the material, vinyl. You don't want it to warp through the heat, transfer. So essentially, this does a very smart thing where it manages its own temperature. So you actually see a temperature kind of indication on the top of the menu here when you do the record cleaning. And then, once it hits a certain kind of temperature, it will start blowing out air from the side so that it will cool itself down relatively fast. And it is pretty loud when it does that, just to give you a heads up on that. Now, obviously, this is going to be for someone that has a large collection or someone that really cares about keeping their records pristine, right, with limited collections or whatnot. Now, I don't have a lot of records. I used to have a large collection of about 2,000, and that's not even considered large because I know people that have like 20,000 records, right? So this is more for people that is going to be using it to clean their records on, all the time. Because this is, pretty expensive. It's around $3,300 US, and it is made in Estonia. So it is going to be a premium price that you pay for something like this, but ultrasonic cleaners were never cheap to begin with. And by far, this is the best one that I've come to use. And that includes the really high-end one that I used to use at the high-end retail store I used to work at, cleaning client records. And that one was, very good like this one, but it was a lot louder and harder to kind of get used to using. And sometimes the settings would be more than less intuitive to use that I would also make mistakes even though I've been using it for a very long time. This, on the first few tries, it was like this, very easy to understand how to use. The menu settings awesome. It has software updates that you can do, so it's backed up by years of software updates that you'll get as it comes out, so that it will be as optimal as it operates. So there's a lot of value here to be had with this unit, in my opinion, as far as the high-end ultrasonic record cleaners go. But although I don't have a large record collection, the thing is though, I can't go back, because when I use this cleaner, the sonic benefits, and I didn't believe that it will bring that much sonic benefit. Obviously it's going to be quieter because it's going to clean out those record grooves, right? So you're going to hear less clicks and pops, and that is what you get essentially. But within that, it gives me more music enjoyment with my analog setup. Because I have invested so much into my analog setup, I want to make sure that the record, the actual music piece, the media that I'm playing is going to be as optimal and as clean as possible. And that's what this machine is exactly meant to do. And it does it extremely well. And honestly, not that it should, but if mine fails, I'm prepared to pay that premium to get another one, because after trying it, I just can't go back. And like I said, this has been a real game changer in my analog setup, in that, it just sounds cleaner. It just sounds like I'm hearing my records for the first time, the cleanest it has ever been, right? And that's with actually using record cleaning machines like a vacuum cleaner, like Record Doctor, that has been largely used, and I thought it was totally fine. It is still cleaning things, but it's just not as thorough as something like this can be. Now, in light of full transparency, I was looking at a different ultrasonic machine called Hummingbrew, right? Because it was much less expensive, about $800. And I was actually looking at that, but a lot of my friends who's into analog, who had bought that unit, warned me against it and just said, go with Degritter, because you'll be much happier that you didn't waste that money, because Hummingbrew, units didn't work out for them. It didn't clean as well, and it was really loud, had multiple QC problems where it went bad after a few months. So that is the feedback I've got from my friends that I trust. Again, I haven't tried it myself, so I can't really speak for it, but that's the feedback I got. So that made me just stick with this unit, especially because they were willing to send me a unit to try out. But also, in full transparency, Hummingbrew also reached out to me to test their unit, and I have not done that yet because I have honestly no need for it, and I don't want to go into this thing of comparing and testing ultrasonic machines. That's not my thing. So I'm gonna stick with this unit. I really love this unit, but if you are in a different budget category, I would say stick with vacuum cleaning, like the Record Doctor ones, because I've used those for years. They're perfectly fine unless you're filming your records in bright light setting like me, and it drives you nuts and it will turn off your viewers. Unless you're specific like that, then I would say the vacuum cleaning machines like Record Doctor is perfectly fine. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. I'm very happy with this unit, and I am 100% confident that anyone that purchased this and try it out for themselves will never be able to go back. So it's a trap, so be careful. So with that being said, thank you for watching, and make sure to check out the iyagi merch. It's now on the website, so make sure to check it out. And I'll see you guys on my next video. Until next time.